Good morning. Here we are. We're back for another lightning news flash here. We're going to be talking about the Metallica concert. I've got my brother Scott with me. I do actually have a brother Scott, but this is like my brother from another mother, brother Scott. And here we go. Ta-da! Good morning. So you went to the Metallica show. You came back actually to go, right?
Indeed.
From North Carolina.
South Carolina.
Like I said, South Carolina. See, I've been saying South Carolina, and then all of a sudden I was thinking, wait, is it North Carolina? So you came back to go to the show, and you saw it on Friday.
Correct.
What was that, a week ago Friday, right?
Yep, you got it.
Yeah. And I just spoke with somebody last night who went to the first show as well. And should I leave that until the end?
What sure, why not?
Okay. So, pretty excited about the show. People ask me why I didn't go to the show. I should have gone to the show. For me, it's like a money thing. I got other things. That's just where I am with it sometimes. But
I mean, honestly, I would have paid for it myself, but it was a gift to me. Okay. It was a gift a rolling gift. It was a Christmas, birthday, and Father's Day.
There you go.
And I was supposed to go to both shows, but because of my move and timing, there was no way I was going to be able to go to the Sunday show and make it back here and go to work on Monday. So only got to go to the Friday show.
Yeah. Now here's another question. And what I'm going to do is I have some unboxings to do, and they're pertinent to this situation. So I'm going to do a little bit of that while I mention something. Have you heard have you heard all of the new album, right?
All of it? No, I've only heard snippets.
Okay. So how did you feel about that going into the concert? Because they're not doing any repeats on the tour, right?
I liked it. The stuff that they came up with, I thought was just phenomenal.
All right.
It was such a good mix of older albums, newer albums. I mean, and it just flowed so well.
Good.
It did. I mean, it's not like it's like, well, why are they playing this after that? I mean, it was just kind of, okay, yeah, you got us going, and now we're kind of you're going to let us breathe for a second. I mean, I really think that they put a lot of thought into the actual set list.
That's great. That's great. Because it's a tough thing. I mean, I've been doing set lists for years now for local gigs, and there's certain times where you're like, I'm going to put this here, and you base it, and they've 72 seasons, right? They've had a long time to go through all these songs and know what affects people and how it affects people and what to do after this song, or, you know, where people are normally and how you want to energize it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved the way that they actually started the show. There was like almost no fanfare. It's like, well, in the Dome, because the stage was out in the middle of the field, basically.
Right.
And there were people down there. There were probably several thousand people down there. But there was a lot of space between the stage / crowd and then where they came out at. And they just come walking out. You know, there's some music playing, you know, they're coming out. But we're like going, okay, when they coming out? When they coming out? Because there were no drums up on the stage.
Right. Okay. Wow. Really?
Really. So the drums are below the stage.
Wow.
And they open it up and it comes up from underneath. And they had, I think, 4 or maybe 5 different drum kits because they did this all around the stage.
No.
Yeah. They would do a number of songs, and then there'd be like a little lull, and he'd walk over to the next part. That drum kit came up. The other one dropped off. And they went around the stage like that. It was freaking awesome. But they just come walking out. the background music's playing, and they just come strolling on out, walk up onto the stage, kind of, wave to the crowd, get their guitars going, and then they just jumped into Creeping Death, man. It was phenomenal. It's like, I love this lack of fanfare. It's just like, we're gonna rock your ass.
Right. Well, speaking of Creeping Death, this is what I had in the first package. So I found these. I found some of these at Walmart for $5.
Wow.
And this one is on Amazon for $5. And as a surprise, I picked up a copy for a friend of mine at school, because I don't think he has any of it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, they're really, really cheap. So I thought, what the heck? I'll just pick it up for him, So I ordered myself a remaster, and I ordered one for him too.
What a guy.
And along with this one as well.
Nice.
So, it's great to have these remasters. You question whether or not you'll keep your originals yet still,
Yes, I absolutely do question that.
because I'm like, but these, fortunately, it's because you can listen to them side by side and see if there's any difference, but these don't have any extra tracks. They're just straight remasters of the original. So, yeah. So with what did they open? I had that set list. I should look
Creeping
that up.
Death.
Yeah, they opened with Creeping Death. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Excuse me. Yeah, let me see here if I can find this. I had the whole set list down here. Well, I don't see it now. So then, do you remember what they went into next, or some of your other favorites while I'm looking this up?
If I remember correctly, they went into Harvester of Sorrow after that.
Oh, wow. Okay. There you go.
And then right after that into Holier Than Thou.
Wow.
Which just really, really got me just rolling.
I love that song, man. Love that song. Let me see if I can do set list. That was 11:03 23. I just breathed in, and something went right into that spot.
I will stop breathing then.
Good call, man. Good call.
Then it can't happen.
So yeah, okay. So here we go. So they played before it started. They were playing over the speakers. They were playing It's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Then they played, what is this? Ennio Morricone, The Ecstasy of Gold was the track, I suppose, that they walked on to.
Right.
And then, yes, Creeping Death, Harvester of Sorrow, Holier Than Thou. Then The Memory Remains. And from there, they went to the new album, Lux Eterna, which is a false start, they say here. So they started in with one and went to Too Far Gone?
Yes.
Okay.
It was interesting because, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how to really explain it. They did a number of things where it's like, they're doing this instead.
Got you.
And I mean, the one thing I really loved, and they worked the crowd so well. But the one thing, and a couple people around me and with me even said the same thing, is really evident how much they love playing with each other. Right. Because they've got this whole freaking huge stage that's in a circle that they could have worked the entire thing. And to be fair, they did. I mean, they did move around a little bit, but it's not like they had the drum kit in one area and then the other three would be like, one would be completely on the other side, and then they'd be over. I mean, and they did move around quite a bit, and they did get some distance, but by and large, they always came back to I wouldn't say a small, but a grouping where they were all back together again. It's like, and you could see the way that they interacted with each other. It's like, they are having the time of their life, and they are just enjoying the hell out of it.
Yeah, because let's face it. I mean, if if you, as somebody watching the show, looks at it and they do the opposite, you're like, boy, they must maybe be getting along.
Right.
You know, you get one or the other. You know, either you're like, man, they must really love playing together, because man, they, even though they could work this whole stage, they came together and they were this tight unit in the middle. But had they worked the crowd the whole time and just done all, somebody'd be out there going, didn't seem like they wanted to be together.
Or even be there.
Right. Right.
I mean, to them, you can tell it's not a job. It is something that they completely enjoy. It's not drudgery for them.
Right. Do you think a big part of that is because of the fact that they had, this tumultuous time in the middle where they even put it to film, and, everybody got to see this collapse, and then they've worked their way through that?
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it, actually.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You kind of, I always thought that it was neat that they could kind of make peace with the whole Dave Mustaine thing. There's a lot of people that sometimes they don't get to do that, or they don't, you know what I mean?
Or don't want to do that.
Don't want to do it. Don't make time to do that. Right. Don't make a space to do that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That gets rough. I mean, we were talking about the Mark Farner thing, right?
Right.
And hoping that something can come out of that. I know that he started this a few years ago with saying that, yeah, I'd do a reunion thing. It's just whether or not they can work it out, and saying that you will do it. And then what we don't see behind the scenes with the meetings and how much somebody thinks they should get paid, or,
right.
So we're like, well, they want to do a reunion. Well, they should do a reunion then. And you're like, we're not in the room where they make the decisions. And it's like, you don't know who's being mistreated, or,
Exactly. And, it's like, just because one side is ready to bury the hatchet doesn't mean the other side is.
Yes.
I mean, look at Styx and Dennis DeYoung,
Right. Right. Yeah, I was Dennis DeYoung. Have you seen any interviews with him?
Not recently.
There's one that's, I mean, it's probably a few years old by now, but he always said that Cowan is the, why can't I think of his first name? That's in his stead. Cowan. Anyway, but he's like, oh yeah, he's the best Cowan that there is, Is he me? No, he's not me. And so it's, it is what it is. But yeah, sometimes these people are like, I want to do this thing, and then they get into making the deal and signing on the dotted line, and they want too much, and it just doesn't work out. That's when it gets tough. You have to just weigh everything, like this whole thing with Mick Mars and Motley Crue.
Absolutely.
They want to cut him out of it, and he's like, well, now wait a minute. And you're like, okay, well, do you deserve a whole fair share cut? I mean, these guys have, I would assume they have plenty of money.
Yeah, you would think so.
So to get any cut would be good.
But they always want more.
But yeah, and I don't know what's I don't know what's behind it. I mean, you and I, they have to hire people for this or for that, so it's an expensive lifestyle. But there again, that's why, sometimes they have to watch how they're doing, how much business we do as musicians and writers and blah blah blah.
And by the same token, we really don't have any kind of a concept as to how much money they actually spend.
Yep. Yeah, or how much money they're getting ripped out of. Because there's just no way to keep your eye on so many different people you have to have in the fold.
Right.
And that's why so many people get ripped off. So then they go into Fade to Black, which is a track I heard the other day and thought, I could probably do this in our band.
That would be an awesome one for you guys to do.
Yeah. Because it's got a bluesy feel in the beginning. That whole first part of it, before it really blows up. What is your, since I'm this far in and we've talked about a few of the albums here, what is your favorite Metallica album?
As far as from cover to cover, it's got to be the Black Album.
I wondered if you were going to say that.
There's just, Ride the Lightning, great album.
Right.
Really like that one.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a couple tracks in there. It's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I really can't say that about the Black. There's not a single track on the Black Album that's like, I can't just get up and just rock out to. I mean, the entire album, I could listen to it, front to back,
mm-hmm.
multiple times in a row and enjoy it every single time.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about Enter Sandman, Sad But True, Holier Than Thou, The Unforgiven, Wherever I May Roam, Don't Tread on Me, Through the Never. Love that. That's one of my ultimate favorites on that record. Nothing Else Matters, Of Wolf and Man.
I love that one.
What a cool tune that is. The God That Failed, My Friend of Misery, and The Struggle Within. What a great way to end it.
I know.
That reminds me of an album that The Struggle Within ending that way reminds me of an album that I heard by a local band prior to its release. And I heard a tune that, I won't say that it reminds me. It's not that it reminds me of that, but it's got that same energy.
Yes.
And I heard it and I go, that's your ending song right there.
And who was this?
It was, why can't I say it? That's terrible. I'll think of it eventually.
It'll come to you when you're like driving down the road.
And I know the guys I know a couple of guys really well. Is it Divine? Is that in that's terrible. Now I feel like an idiot.
No,
which doesn't take much. But anyway, yeah, I'm like, that's the last song. And it was mentioned to me, oh no, well, we're gonna end with this. I go, okay. Now, this wasn't somebody in the band, but I'm like, okay. I'm telling you, right there, because it was that thing that left you ready to go for more. You're like, okay, boom, that's it. That's Struggle Within. That's what it does. It ends it, and you're like, okay, good ending, and I can't wait for more right now. Can you make this a double album real quick and release it in a month, and I'll buy the next part? It was like that. It's like that movie that you see, and you're like, I want more of that right now.
Gotcha.
So yeah, but I was like, okay. it's always sad,
It's your choice, but do what you want.
Exactly. And who knows? I may have been wrong. Obviously, I could be wrong, but it just had that feel when it was done. You find those songs at the end of a concert, and you're like, okay, that's it. I know, but that's got to be it. And you're like, but we want more. Good. I'm glad you do. We'll be back. We're not done, but we'll be back. Shadows Follow came next. Am I not familiar with that? Is that on 72? I'm trying to remember.
Not sure.
Okay. Let me see if I can find that real quick here. 72 seasons, because it's not, I don't know how much airplay this album gets.
Not very. I've kind of moved away from the radio completely anyway.
Right.
Mostly Spotify.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Shadows Follow is the second song on the album, on the new album. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And Too Far Gone is from the new album too. So they did the false start into Lux Eterna and then went into the Too Far Gone. and then later they would play Shadows Follow. I really love this new album. And I don't know. I made a Metallica playlist, and it's got every song on this album on it, I think.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, when I first heard when they released the first song,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually did hear that on the radio, and I heard it the first time, I was like, this shows a lot of promise.
Right. Right. And I think, Metallica is one of those bands where people have a big different views on the band. You've got everybody from the person who just loves it because Metallica's name is on it, which is always great. You have to, that's on the people on which you build a career, are the people who will just stick with you. Me being a Packer fan, I know what that's like. You just, any football team that's got down years, you're just like, or any team, anything you follow that's got a, maybe that's not so good,
right?
But I'm not letting go because that's my band. It comes down to that, because then you have people that are just like, yeah, no, don't like it. And I'm like, and I always thought I was a hardcore jackass when it comes to some of that, but I don't know. Some people just are even rougher than I am. I'm like, man, I love that new record. Now somebody else goes, don't even like it.
Well, and I have a number of bands that I really greatly enjoy, and I don't have any qualms going, okay, that was not your best stuff.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to leave them. I'm not going to say, okay, I'm done listening to you. This album was a stinker. I'm done with you. No, not going to do that. But I don't have any qualms saying, try again.
Have that do better meeting.
Exactly.
For me, that was everything. And when I say everything, I just mean album wise. Load, Reload, Saint Anger, that it, and then they did the live album, right? S&M,
yeah.
Right? Those were the four albums.
Is one of the best live albums that exists.
Yeah, you like it a lot, huh? S&M.
And there's a number of groups that have done this, and I absolutely, there's not one live album who's worked with an orchestra like that I have felt did not do it justice. It was fantastic. They've done it. Grand Funk has done it. Kiss has done it. I mean, and every single time it's like, oh my God, I never would have imagined that it would sound that good.
I know. It really, because, and especially I can say this for you and for me and probably for our buddy Greg, I could probably say that we have that kind of wide, what's the word I'm looking for? Appreciation for music, where there's a lot of orchestral stuff that we enjoy. And so when you marry that with the power and the punch of these bands you've just mentioned, it's like another driving force behind it. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, there he is. Oh my God. He's he just popped in and said, what's shaking, Greg? So, I own the DVD of the Scorpions doing that. And I've always said that version of Rock You Like a Hurricane, if there would have been a James Bond book called The Eye of the Hurricane, that would be the perfect title track in that way, because with the orchestra behind it, oh my God, it is a pure action film tune. It's already a kick-ass song, but it goes from kick-ass to just, explosive.
Here's something to blow your mind. Envision an orchestral concert like that with Deep Purple.
Didn't they do it?
Not to my knowledge, but I'm not going to say they haven't.
Okay.
I've heard it, but in my mind, that would be a great marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, doing like Lazy and uh Space Truckin' and what's the one I'm not thinking of? Um
Tokyo.
oh yeah, that'd be really cool too. Even Knocking at Your Back Door.
That would be amazing.
Perfect Strangers be great too. I mean, those two albums, we'll talk about those sometime. I think those two albums back to back that came out, Perfect Strangers and the why can't I say it? Blue Door. Its follow-up were so good. Those two records right in a row were great. Then it looks like we go to Orion from Master. Nothing Else Matters and Sad But True. Look at that.
Which is not my all-time favorite, but it is one of my favorites. So I was really happy to hear that.
Awesome. I was just talking to the guys in the band about playing Sad But True.
I mean, I did not walk out of that concert with no regrets, really. My only disappointment was one song that they didn't play. Damage Inc.
Oh man. Yeah. It's a tough one, man, when you're doing no repeats.
Right. And it's ironic because there were two songs that I really wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Neither are on the Black Album, my favorite. But then as we're kind of getting through the end of the show, Day That Never Comes. Okay, yeah, this sounds good. Yeah, I'm liking it. And then Hardwired is like, yeah. Okay,
yes.
You got me here.
Yes.
And then they just jumped into Fuel.
Love that.
My daughter, Rachel, she went berserk.
Wow.
Her favorite song, she's up and she's going. And I'm like going, and they absolutely nailed it. It's like, oh my God, that sounds so good.
Wow.
And then they follow that up with Seek and Destroy. It's like, what can they do better at this point?
Right.
And they don't actually do what most bands call an encore. It's like, this is our last song. Boom, we're done.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, God, this has been a great concert. I mean, my ears are ringing. I can
yes.
And I'm like, this is freaking awesome. And then the last freaking song, one of the ones that I wanted to hear, they jump into Master of Puppets, and I'm just like, oh yes.
So even though now, have you seen Metallica before?
No.
Okay. All right, that's interesting. Yeah. So I mean, even though you're not hearing some of the major songs that you were hoping to, because when you're buying tickets, it's a crapshoot, right?
Yes.
You're like, okay, well, what ones am I going to get? It's like you're drawing straws. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Okay, these are great, but dang it, I didn't get mine.
But you know what? So many of those backing songs are so good on their own in their own right. You can't be disappointed with them.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I've been to many a concert where it's like, okay, I'm going to sit down through this one now.
you and hundreds of others, it's like, oh, I'm going to go get a beer.
Exactly. And I did not feel like I wanted to leave my seat at all during this show.
That's great. Yeah, I don't know that I've ever done that. Just because I'm just not going to. I don't like making my way through a crowd. It's and then trying to get back to the seat, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I've just never been a guy that has to do that. Of course, I could have used a drink years ago when I saw Iron Maiden once. I think it was on the Power Slave tour, and I was dead. Oh man, at the end I was just beat to shit and just thirsty as anything. I mean, I got backstage finally, and I'm just hoping I'm going to see a cooler of something to drink. Like, oh, where can I get a drink? Anybody, anyone. I was just dying. But,
a couple years ago when we saw Foghat, that was another one. It's like, I don't know what's coming. I don't want to leave my seat because I don't know what's going to happen next. And because I am totally digging this.
That's great. Yeah. Did they play Stone Blue? That's my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's one of those you're like, well, they got to play that. Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't.
Oh, but the dueling guitars during that, I mean, and that's what makes Foghat so damn good is like you don't have a lead, you don't have, you know, a rhythm. I mean, they're just playing together and it's almost like they're battling.
Yeah.
It makes it so incredible.
Absolutely. There's a track, maybe I could even look it up and put the link in here. There's a track by a band called Santa Cruz, and it's called Aiming High. And I remember watching it and just going, holy crap. Because the guitar player that they did the chorus, probably did a bridge, and now it's time for the solo, right? And I saw the guitar player. I'm going, okay, here goes the guitar solo. Then all of a sudden, he's done with his solo, and the lead singer starts doing his shredding. I'm like, holy crap! You got two of you guys,
Exactly,
and you sing really well. So it's kind of crazy. But I'll put it out there on the Facebook page later when I can, you know, make sure I find the right one. But it just killed me, man. I'm just like, you got double shredders going on here, and there's just nothing like it. Nothing like it.
I mean, and there's a lot of bassists in the industry that I like, and I love watching Robert play because he doesn't go for fanfare.
Nope.
He just sits there and he's just going, and I just love watching him play because he's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna kill this shit standing here.
Yeah, right. Yep, I got it. You just watch. I'll be right here.
Exactly. And I think I even sent you one of the pictures of him playing. And it's like, and I mean, the finger work that he does on that bass is like it makes my wrist want to cramp up watching him play.
I got to, you know, I'm trying to remember. Oh, no. I don't have to try anymore. I remember. I saw Suicidal Tendencies with him back on the Empire tour for Queensryche. They opened up for Queensryche, and just an amazing show. You know, from him to come from, you know, I hate to say it like this. I don't think it's a dick move by any means. Really, it's just true. I don't think that I almost think that going to Metallica was almost going to be a vacation for him, you know, because the stuff they did in Suicidal was just so crazy cool that I'm like, oh, he's more than ready to do this.
Absolutely.
You know,
kind of prepared him.
Right. So you're like, oh, yeah, this guy will be a monster. He'll bring, and just as, you know, Cliff did when he was, you know, the original reigning monster in that band. And the great things that he did and the things that Jason brought along later and everything. They've really done a great progression as far as the bass players are concerned.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah, and another one of my favorite bassists, he's another one who I feel like just can lay down a bass line like no other.
Did they give him a bass solo last night or on that show?
No.
Okay.
There really weren't solos per se. They did. I don't know if you noticed on the set list it says Cthulhu Burrito.
Yeah. Yes.
So basically, that's just a little lead guitar, bass, where they just basically kind of played off each other. They said, "Well, we do this for every show, you know, each city, and this is what we put together for you guys." No drums or anything. It took all of about maybe 2 minutes or so, and it was actually pretty cool.
Kind of nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went and saw Steelheart recently. Of course, after I saw Kiss, who you have so lovingly presented on your shirt.
Oh, you noticed that?
Somehow I did. Yeah. But I tell you what, standing at their merch booth, it was almost blinding. I mean, you know, first of all, there were the prices. That's always blinding to me.
Yeah.
But you move past that and you're like, I'm experiencing this, and they know that, and that's why the prices are what they are. But I still wasn't going to buy a $30 poster. It's a poster. It's not even like a big ass poster. It's just a $30. I'm like, yeah, no. But it is blinding. I mean, you're like, okay, I like that shirt for this. I like that shirt for this reason. I like this one for that reason. And
That's
it just was
the thing. Is
crazy.
You see the best of 2 or 3 different ones. It's like, why can't you put that together? You would hook me.
And I love that you have the long sleeve, because I bought a long sleeve too, because it has all the stuff down the side. It had the the end, and it's over here. It's got all the logos down the other side. Yes, look at that. That's awesome. And and it was the colors were great, and I was just like, man, it took a minute though. So did you get any merch while you were there?
While I was there, no. We actually decided, we did a little research online prior to,
Yeah.
and I actually found a T-shirt that I really, really like on Etsy of all things. So it's not an official T-shirt from
Right.
but it does list all the cities on the back,
That's cool.
and it is a cool shirt. So when I get back to St. Louis, and I get it, at some point I'll have to show it to you.
Yes, please.
You will like it.
I can't wait. And I don't know, maybe I get a link. Maybe I'll go get one.
Maybe.
Because I'd like to, I have my And Justice for All. I saw this tour. This isn't a tour shirt, although I should see if somebody retro made a tour shirt, because that's what I had to do, because I was a kid when I went and saw a kid with no money when I went and saw Judas Priest the first time on the British Steel tour. So I didn't understand how concerts worked. It was my first real concert, and it was general admission, standing with a pulled ligament in my ankle because they didn't have seats. It was at a skating rink in the middle of Pekin, Illinois. But down the line, they made retro shirts, tour shirts, and it had all the cities on the back. And I was like, oop, there it is, Pekin. And subsequently I bought a concert. I didn't even see the tour, but I had to have it. It's kind of like this Metallica thing, if I'm covering it somehow, I'd want to, do it. So it was a situation where I bought the Hellbent for Leather tour shirt.
There you go.
With the cities on the back. And I'm like, oh man, this is great. I just had to have it because I love that record. That was the first thing I ever heard was Hellbent for Leather.
Nice.
But I'd like to see if they had a retro one of this, because I have one which is better than any one that I was gonna find now, and I still have it, still fits. I love it. Is my Queensryche. It's Queensryche and Metallica.
Nice.
And I think I've mentioned it. I may have mentioned it on the show before, where there was a guy in the Vixen crew who asked if I'd trade a Vixen shirt for it. No, I would think Vixen would kick my ass if I did that. I also got this today. This was the new Graham bonnet, the latest Graham bonnet that came out last year.
Nice.
So we had an interview with him last week, and that was a lot of fun. And then I got this one too.
Nice.
I figured $15 for my friend at school is a nice little. That's not a big deal.
No.
So I already had this one.
He'll enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a nice little thing. And then I have, of course. All right, so I have to do the old man show. Look what I did. I got those little grabber things. And look, this is how you use it.
Yeah.
I always love it when they have instructions on stuff. You're like, oh, yeah, I think I get it. It's the reason I bought it. But I suppose it's.
Yeah. What do you take me for, a dumbass?
Right. I mean, some people may take me for that, but
the same. That could be said for me.
I was also going to show you this. Here, let's take a look at this real quick before we go. I dropped them right in here. Here's a couple of the shots you took. So this gives us a view of what you were talking about. So this was a whole ring, and this is what you're talking about with these guys in the middle.
Yep.
Down there.
Yep.
And then they walked around. Wow, that's cool.
They're moshing a little bit, not so much during Metallica. There was some moshing going on during Pantera. I was really surprised, though. I mean, and the moshing was like very sporadic and spread out in very small groups. But it was funny because the one group tried to mosh during Metallica, and it was almost like they try and get it going, but nobody was interested. They were just more like, we just want to stand here and listen and watch.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think we've all been there at some point, right?
Yeah.
Mosh pits were never my thing. So it's just kind of crazy.
Same. I would not want to be in one.
No. Let's see here. So here were all the dates. Starting off in Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
And Germany, Sweden, then let's see. They had New Jersey, Canada, Texas, California, Arizona, then Missouri. So where are they now? Oh, I'm sorry. This is, no. I'm going backwards. Am I? No, I'm not. November. And now they're done. They're done, right?
I know there was at least one. I thought there were 3 shows after St. Louis, but
they had the 10th and the 12th in Detroit. Then they're off until May, it looks like, of 2024. They're in Germany, Finland, Denmark, and they do all that. And then Chicago. I don't know. Maybe I should look at going to Chicago. Either that or Poland, one of the two. I mean, so close.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I'm glad you agree. I'm glad you agree that my geography is horrible. But yeah, I you know what? I just sent the link for this over to Sam Spade, who's over from the Midnight Devils, who's over in the UK, and he was saying that he might even have some time now to talk about how the tour is going. So I should, if you want to hang, I'm going to see if he shows up. Otherwise, we'll just keep talking Metallica. But some great shots out there they have from them on tour. That's the cool thing. There is a lot of video. There's a lot of live shots, lots of cool stuff from Metallica and their shows. Have you watched many of their recorded stuff?
Bits and pieces, yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's never like I've been like, oh yeah, but I did have an afternoon by myself recently, and it was on the streaming service, so I was like, I gotta check some of that out, and it was killer, man. I do love watching them play, man. It makes me want to get out there and do a gig. This is the one that I used
pictures and or seeing some of the old concert footage when Hatfield had hair.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he was kind of in between on this one shot. Where is it? It's not this one. There's a cool shot. Did you know he did a tune with there he has a little longer hair there. Did you know he did a tune with Ann Wilson?
Yes.
I love that song.
Yes, it is so good.
Man, that's killer. I can't remember the name of it. It's really kick ass though. It's got kind of an evil title. There's Pantera.
Which, I enjoyed them.
Mm-hmm.
They put on a good show.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that they were a little self-absorbed.
Oh, in what way?
After a number of songs, and we were there, we got in there, they had already started. So we probably heard, I would say probably 5, maybe 6 songs from them.
Gotcha.
But after a couple of the songs, and he didn't do it after every one of them, he would sit out there and he's like, come on, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Come on. Like, give us some love. It's like, okay, you should not be glorifying yourself, or at least, be begging for, appreciation from the crowd. If you have to beg
Yes.
for it, then it's really not warranted.
Yeah. I mean, I would relay my funny Thanksgiving story, but it's really not appropriate. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? I think it could be taken in the wrong way. It's one of those stories that you're like, this is a story that you tell you and me one-on-one, and you've probably already heard it, but, or it's something that you have to do it in the right spot. Because if I just put it out there, people are going to be like, oh, that's horrible,
Yeah.
And it would be horrible. I get that. It would not, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It would be inappropriate, and I'm not going to do that. Now look at this. I just have to show you this. I have two things to show. I sent the link to Sam, but of course, he doesn't know that I'm already on. So I said, hey, I'm already on. So come on in. I started thinking about it. I thought, I never told him that I was already on. Look at this. Todd Rundgren released an album in my honor.
What a hell of a guy.
I know, right? I mean, what a way to go. I really appreciate your favorite song being a song I hate. My friend told me he never plays Hello, It's Me, or he doesn't like to because he hates it. And I'm like, that's my favorite song of all time. I don't know. It just hits me in a cool way. Now, let me ask you this. I got one other question for you to find out before we wrap up the Metallica talk. Are you interested in hearing this album or buying it?
How do I quite answer this?
Is it going to be inappropriate, like my story I won't tell?
No, let's say not really.
Not really. Because I mean, I was on the verge, man. I was like, Rob Halford's on it. There's a lot of people on this album, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. It was tempting.
I've seen other albums like that where they do different covers, all these groups doing the different covers, and there have been some good ones. And one of the best ones, they've done several, is Heart. They cover things so well.
They do.
But there are other groups out there. It's like, oh.
well, dude, wait. What about those times when they cover one of their own songs and it doesn't sound good?
Okay, fair.
Can you think of one like that? I can.
Go ahead.
There's two of them, actually. There's a re-recording, and I don't know. I would have to know the context because it's horrible to me. Is Switching to Glide. It's the Kings.
Yeah.
And they did some version of it that's on Spotify, and I'm like, oh my God, why did you even do this? Because I don't know who's listening to it.
Well, it just makes the original sound that much better.
Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they were trying to piss somebody off. That's a possibility. Oh yeah, there you go. I needed a drink. Thank God for my forgetfulness and leaving water at my desk. The other one is Emerson, Lake and Palmer covering Greg Lake's I Believe in Father Christmas.
I've heard that, and I don't know if I've heard the remake of it.
Yeah. I don't know if it was released on anything else before the Return of the Manticore, but that's where I have it. They re-recorded it, which I get. I mean, sometimes you have to, bands have to do that in order to get paid for the song or to be able to have it to be played. They have to re-record it.
Now, to be fair here, we should be respectful of the dead.
Oh, the Grateful Dead?
No, Greg Lake. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and Keith. I mean, it's but I mean, all the same, it just was not, it didn't hold the same, that's what's the beauty of Greg Lake's, version. It's just really kind of cool and laid back, you know. I'm just here for the boobs.
aren't
There
we?
we go. Speaking of appropriate,
Aren't we all?
aren't we all? Yes.
Have you been over to Edwardsville to see Carl Palmer the past couple times he's been there?
No, I know he was coming there, and I really wanted to get over and do that. I saw Zebra over there. I've seen Angel there.
I would be
And
no, because it's always billed as Carl Palmer and the music of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I'd be kind of interested to know. It's like, okay, so what is he actually playing there?
right. I wonder if
What can you do without Keith Emerson?
well, okay, so keep this in mind. I mean, Scott, here's the thing about you and I in this doggone show is that this could be a lightning news flash that's a show. So here's the thing though. What and now I'm going to be hard pressed to think of it. God, I heard a song the other day that had nothing to do with Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It was another band just doing a song, and the whole keyboard solo in it sounds just like Keith Emerson.
Nice.
And I'm like, wow. I'm like, it was great, and I'm sure there's that good possibility that it was a tribute to the influences that he had on them, and that's why it was so much. And I can't think of the song, but yeah, Keith had that crazy cool style, all the different innuendos that he did in the keyboards, the different
And
stylings.
to build that setup that he did, he was a genius.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's if you've ever seen that whole setup, like, I've watched some concert footage from the past, never did see them myself, but I mean, just looking at that whole setup and then, grabbing, the monstrosity of a keyboard that he had and pulling it down on top of himself, laying underneath it. I mean, and the sounds that he did, just pushing it up and down. I mean, it's like, how do you even come up with this? Like, just like, oh, I just went blank here. Led Zeppelin, lead guitarist.
Jimmy Page.
Yeah, Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he pulling a violin bow across his. It's like, how do you come up with that shit?
I know. It's so weird that you mentioned that. I just mentioned that last night because I interviewed Niels Lozauer, and he took one of those iconic pictures with him holding the bow, and he was drawing it. I believe he was down and drawing it back or away from his guitar, and it made this beautiful curved like S almost with the hairs that had come off or were dangling.
Right.
And it's just a gorgeous shot. And I just mentioned that last night. Oh man. Yeah, exactly. How do you it's like inventions or foods.
I mean,
who was the first person to come up with that?
I mean, you're a rock drummer and you put timpani in there.
Right. Which I don't know. I can't help but think that if I would ever become a drummer, that I would have maybe had thoughts about that, because I'm like, I just love percussion. And it seems as though if you don't have a little bit of something, which I would have made a horrible drummer, because I'd have been like, oh, can you put that in here? I need one of those. You realize we have no room for anything else on the stage right now. Well, that's on you. Figure it out.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. It's like Terry Bozzio when he was doing his drumming thing with the Knack, and he had his huge drum kit with the Knack. And at the end of the show we saw in Chicago, they let him loose. and because he had just released a CD that had a bunch of that was all just percussion. That's all drums, the whole thing. So it was amazing. It's an
Well, and
amazing show.
that's what this day and age is missing
Mhm.
is those types of musicians who you can give them 5 minutes on their own on the stage and they can just
Mhm.
knock your socks off. Whether
Right.
it's a drum solo, whether it be a guitar solo or whatever, they
Yep.
just have the ability. The musicians nowadays, in my mind, don't have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
They're not creative enough to hold people's attention.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I think there's, and yet at the same time, you and I have to know that there's some artists out there that are trying to do something, but it's just they don't know how to get it
Right.
through because it's not going to sell or nobody wants it, and you're like, come on, can we get, there's somebody out there that wants to do this,
Right.
you know?
But I mean, if you go to a Rush show, you would have been, if you left without a drum solo, you would have been disappointed.
Right. Right. I'm glad you came back around to that. That's one of those things that I would have watched this show later and gone, never did come right back around and really talk about that. When I went and saw the Steelheart show, they did a combo solo thing. So it was like the bass player kind of started and then the drummer jumped in on it. And then they were all doing some cool stuff. And then the guitar player came in and did solo stuff. So it was all kind of together. It wasn't, okay, here's the drum solo, which, okay, I get it. I got it. I hate to be like that, but some days I am. I'm like, okay, we don't need to go this far. You can speed it up a little bit. And then, then there's the bass, which can be lackluster. Let's face it sometimes,
Yep.
you
Well,
know?
and that's probably my biggest disappointment with my all-time favorite group.
Who's that? Oh, with Kiss. Yeah.
Is their show is as bombastic as it
Yeah.
is so easy to predict.
Right. Right.
Like you said, the bass solo, God of Thunder's coming, this is going to happen. I love a show where you don't know when it's going to come.
Right.
It doesn't have to be with a certain song.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And, then you can ask yourself the question, are there just that many people out there that we talked about earlier where they just love everything that you're doing, that just don't mind seeing that every time?
Your cult following.
Good point. Good call. Yeah. Cause I'm just like, that's sometimes why I don't want to go and see bands anymore, cause I'm like, I've seen it.
Same show.
Seen it multiple times. Like we've seen Styx a lot. And the show does differ here and there, but unfortunately, sometimes for me, again, some people could say, well, you expect too much. Well, maybe you're right. I mean, shouldn't I expect a lot? I mean, I'm paying money to go see the show again. I've already paid money for the record. So I'd like to see the show but I'd like to see some of these other things that they could do.
Right.
And I know it's just not going to happen, so I'll be disappointed again that something majorly different isn't happening.
Right. Well, and it's like the whole Metallica show. Like I said, I really wanted to hear Damage Inc. But I'm not harping on that. I'm not.
Right.
I disappointed it wasn't there. Sure.
Yeah.
But with everything that they put in that list,
yeah,
I'm not disappointed one iota with that show.
Right. Right.
And just like, a few years ago, Greg and I went and saw Justin Hayward by himself. Again, that's in my top 5, maybe even my top 3 all time of shows.
Wow.
It was just that good.
Damn.
But and the thing was it was just him, another guitarist, and a flautist. No drums. And it was one of the most amazing shows I've ever seen.
That's great. Where was that?
It was at River City.
Okay, cool.
And he reached into the archives from the Moody Blues plus the solo stuff. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, it was just so good.
And of course, he played Forever Autumn.
He did. He did.
Oh, God, man, what a great song.
Yeah.
What
I
a
mean,
great song.
but I mean, some of the things he put in there, like, gosh, I was hoping that he would play this, but it's like, but I'm not disappointed because he pulled this out of the archives that I never thought he would have played, and it was all
right. It helps to gloss over that. I won't say disappointment, but there's that. It helps, like you said, it helps to gloss over the. Oh, okay.
well. The way I look at it is, it's disappointment, but not a letdown.
There you go. That's it. Yeah, because you're like, he didn't play that song.
But that's he played this.
Right. You're not like, didn't play that. Yeah,
Right.
good call. I like it. Let me see. I had something else in my head I was going to say. So here, I'll mention this, folks. I bought Scott's as a thank you. Let's see if I can find it here on vinyl. I know I've got it. Here it is. And now I'm like my buddy Papa Pete. I can just reach right back here and get it. We'll mention a video game and he'll just reach back and grab it.
Watch out so it doesn't come all crashing down.
There we go.
Yes.
So I bought this CD version of this for Scott because I wanted to thank him for some work that we did together here, and I couldn't have done it without him, and he really helped me out a lot. And then went and interviewed right after that for a new job and moved away from me. So I hate to try to take.
Now you sound like my daughter.
Try not to take that personally, but anyway, I have to ask you if you've had a chance to listen to it. Do you have a CD player yet? You've listened to it?
But in parts.
Oh, okay, cool. Because that song "Forever Autumn" that I just mentioned, as he well knows, is on that record. So if you've never heard it, it is a gorgeous tune, and it's kind of a ballad that the character in the War of the Worlds is singing to his wife, who is in a different part of the world from him, in a different city away from him, as the whole earth is being attacked. So yeah, really, really beautiful song if you've never heard it. I'm trying to see if Sam's going to join us, but I guess not yet. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Completely different time zone, probably not awake.
No, he's there. He was just asking. He's like, could we do it now? And I'm like, yeah. And that's when I sent him the link.
Oh,
so
okay.
I said, pop on in now. I'm on with my friend talking Metallica. So anyway, but we can wrap up. Thank you so much for talking about the concert. I'm so glad you like it. I will finish with this. The gentleman I spoke with last night did not like it.
Why?
First of all, he wasn't a fan of the roll of the dice that he got from the tour, because no repeats.
He went Friday.
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He didn't. He was like, man, they played a bunch of new stuff, and
which was good.
I get it. And that's where you just, everybody's got their own, again, disappointed or let down.
Right.
And he felt let down.
And, I'll be honest, some of the newer stuff that they played, it's like, it was okay, but it really was harmonious in the way that the set list went.
Yeah.
It fit well. Maybe it wasn't the best song for that spot.
Yeah.
But it bridged the one before it and the one after it really well.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, a lot of it is, to me, a lot of it is, if you're really into the band, again, it kind of goes back to how far are you into the band? If you're really into the band, you already know the record. You know that record. So when those songs come on, it's kind of like a musical. If I go see a musical, which I don't always love seeing musicals, I enjoy them. I grew up with them. my family was a kind of a theatrical family, and you know, my mother did plays and musicals all the time, right?
Yep.
So I was raised on it, so I have that kind of a palate for it. But even when I'm going to go see a new show, like I just did, I went and saw the show that has a bunch of the Go-Go stuff in it. Head Over Heels is the name of the show. I went and saw it at Cape Girardeau at the university there. And I didn't know the show, so I listened to the music because I want to know what to expect. Because when that next song comes on, I don't want to be going, good God, another song. You know what I'm saying? There is nothing worse than going, how long am I going to be here? Another song. Okay. Oh, a reprise. Oh, okay. That's great. Okay. And, you know, so if I know all the songs, then I go, oh, yeah, I really liked that one. Oh, that's cool. I like where it fits in. Now, not everybody's going to want to do that.
Right.
But if you're at a concert and you love this band, but you haven't checked out their new record, check that sucker out and make yourself familiar. If it's then otherwise you're going to have some disappointment.
Well, see, and for me, I like the surprise.
Oh, good. See, that's where it's different. You know, that's the way that you like to do that, and that's cool. Sometimes I don't. When it comes to a new album by a band, I'm like, I want to know those songs before I go see them. You know,
That's understandable.
Yeah, because you know I may not go get a beer, but my brain is going, I could get a beer right now.
I could go to the bathroom right now.
And I'm trying to be into it, but if that's the first time I'm hearing the song, it has to be really amazing, you know. And we're so built on that. Here's something from our new album, and everybody's like, oh, okay. We have no nostalgia to tie it to, you know. There's no, I remember when I was out partying, man, and there was that song. We love that song, and I love that song. Like Carrie, when she's like, everything shuts down. That is her desperado moment when Renegade comes on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody just better shut up and listen.
And get the play.
So, you know, so there are those things, but yeah, they were disappointed by that, and they also didn't like the new record, I guess, either. It didn't grab them. It seemed they mentioned that it just felt like sped up pop stuff in a way. I'm like, I don't know if I get that.
Yeah, I don't quite get that either.
You know, what you so I mentioned Reload and all those albums in there, Load, Reload, and Saint Anger, where I just felt lost with them. I'm like, I don't know who you are anymore. I don't know why I'm listening anymore.
I think every band goes through that though.
And they do. Oh yeah. And I don't fault them for it. You can't just keep doing the same thing. Fans, that you may go in a direction, like you said earlier, that a big fan like myself, is going to go, you know, I like you guys still. I'm not saying you can't do anything, because I loved the Black Album as well. I thought it was a great culmination, a great peak moment at that time. And then they went into those records, and I'm like, Queensryche did the same thing. They lost me. I'm not a Queensryche fan, and I'm not a Metallica fan because of those albums. Because for me, they redeemed themselves, and I don't mean that they redeemed themselves with me. Like people give a shit what I think, but there's got to be other people that understand what I'm saying. They probably felt the same way. Where I'm like, you just lost me,
right?
And then, but when they put out,
band is like that though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, you know, my favorite band, you know, you had Kiss with, you know, they came out with Love Gun, Rock and Roll Over, and Destroyer, all bang, 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 bang. And everybody's like, oh my God, what's going to come next? Well, you can't keep that going. No. You're going to drop off. I mean, even though it was a concept album, 2112, I mean, put Rush basically on the map with the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
the Black Album did the same thing. I really feel like High Infidelity for REO, same thing.
Yeah, and that was a point of contention with me because I was like, oof.
I mean,
yes, that
thing,
really secured the map for them. You're absolutely right, but I hated it when it came out.
It was a changeover from what they had been doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
I have appreciation for it now, but
at the time, it really hit a certain target audience.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I mean, that was. But then after that, it kind of started sliding down a little bit. Every group I think goes through that is going to have some. I don't want to call them basically crap albums, but you pull one or two tunes off of it, and then you pull a tune or two off of the next one, and
yeah. Let's see what's Greg saying. Radiohead starts playing songs live years before they go onto an album. That's the way it was for the Outlaws. They did their live album, Bring It Back Alive, and they did You Are the Show live, and then that came out on the subsequent record. After that, it showed up on Playing to Win, and so that's interesting that he mentions that. That's a good point. And that's pretty cool. But they were with me and what I like about Metallica and all the things that I like about them, because they got a lot of backlash on the Black Album. But again, I love that record.
Yeah,
I think it was an important record for them, and as everybody else would agree. I'm not saying that's not a mystery, but it was a great turning point. I thought it was a great way for them to get into more of the mainstream and to really go supernova. I mean, they were already followed like crazy, and then that album just boom and just put them in with everybody.
Right.
Unlike when certain bands' albums are left in the dust because it didn't work. Dynasty for Kiss, if only that could have been left in the dust a little bit, but it has some great songs on it that I love.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was just thinking this a few moments ago. It's like even though I don't really care for that album a whole lot, like you said, there's a couple good songs on it. I don't even know what they were thinking or what the producer was thinking is when they came out with the music from The Elder. It's like, again, a concept album.
Mm-hmm.
The concept wasn't even all that. Mm-mm. What was the concept?
Right. We know because we watched videos about what it was supposed to be, and because we heard that it was a concept album, and so we understand kind of that they're talking about a youth that's going to come along and be the next whatever,
but it does not come across.
2112,
the whole concept comes across.
It does. It is a complete storyline. Operation Mindcrime, perfect example of beginning to end. Well, beginning to end to be continued, which then unfortunately wasn't continued well. I hate to say that, but two albums that one did continue the other, which is brilliant, is Epica by the band Camelot and their subsequent record, The Black Halo. That's the story of Faust, is what it is. It's their storyline of, it's a rock opera of Faust, and all the songs are great. You can listen to both of those records, and it's fantastic.
And it's funny, and I know you kind of probably need to wrap up, but I have a student, and we talk about this all the time. I wanted your opinion on this. Yeah. Do you consider this a concept album? Animals.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
yeah, because
I've had to say, no, it's not a concept album. It's just an album. It's like, no, it's a concept.
Yep. It's a concept. It's a social government concept. It's a corporate concept album. That's why it's like Animal Farm. I mean, it's all tied together, and one begat the other. It's like it's it all ties back to each other. And then with the reprise at the end of the album, right?
Yeah. So
You know, yes, totally a concept record. And oddly enough, again, with Rush and Pink Floyd, my son blessed me with the knowledge that that's his favorite Pink Floyd record, which it's mine. And Rush, he said, Farewell to Kings is his favorite Rush album. And I'm like, mine as well. So
it's definitely up there for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So such cool songs. I mean, there's other albums, but that's another band that kind of lost me after a while, you know, just because it unrushed itself to a certain extent when they put out Power Windows, you know, what came after Power Windows? Presto. And then what's the one? Why can't Roll the Bones?
Roll the Bones, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the best song on there.
Yeah, right. You know, there's good, great songs on those records. But I mean, I thought Grace Under Pressure was a great record. I thought this was a great record. And some people would probably totally disagree with me, but I thought that was a great record. And then after that, it just kind of fell off.
Right.
You know, Power Windows, I played their hit Big Money on the radio when I worked on Top 40 radio. And I like that song. And there's other songs on that record I like, but none of them were fully Rush to me.
No.
You know,
they lost their roots.
Yeah. Even what was the Red album? Why can't I think of the name of it? It had the dots on it.
Yeah, I can see I can see it in my head.
Yeah, and it had, again, great songs. I thought Counterparts was a pretty good album all the way through. That one kept me all the way through. And a crazy cool tour, for which I have a bootleg of that tour. I had a friend of mine used to work at the arena, and they confiscated a camera that somebody was filming the show. And so then I got the tape and I converted it to DVD. So if you ever want to see that, we can watch that.
I'm turning you in.
What's that?
I'm turning you in.
Yeah. Bring it on. Oh man, there we go. Queen's Hot Space. The lovely Danny. Yeah, we were just talking about Danny and I were mentioning that recently when we were hanging out for the Kiss show. She mentioned Hot Space. Yeah, that's like Hot Space. I'm like, absolutely. Yep. You know, huge hit. Never checked out the record.
Hi, baby.
So, well, I'm certainly glad we had this time to talk. I'll let you get rolling. I'll get rolling. I'll figure out what's going to happen with Sam, and we'll do a report later on.
Well, thanks for
Tuesday. We've got a band out of the UK that's called Hell's Addiction. I've just recently gotten into them, and they just played over at the HRH Festival in England, where the Midnight Devils were as well. So that should be really cool. And then I see that Faster Pussycat is coming back to town here soon this week on the 18th. Is that this week? Yeah, it's Saturday, right? So they're coming to town on Saturday, playing at the Diamond Music Hall. And our buddy Sam Bam Colton from St. Louis is with them. And so it'll be great to see him. And I have something for him that I've got to give him. So hopefully he'll get back to me. Maybe he already has. And I could maybe have him on the 15th. But otherwise, we'll keep you look forward to Tuesday afternoon at 3:30 Central Time. We'll be talking with Hell's Addiction. And later on today, I'll probably be talking with Sam Spade again from the Midnight Devils and seeing what's going on in the UK, including Ireland. They went to Glasgow the other day. I heard it was a crazy time. So we'll look forward to hearing about that. Scott, thank you again. I cannot wait to see you back here in town soon.
Week and a half.
And we're going to be hanging out and hopefully throwing some bags. The weather's going to be great. I have a feeling.
That'd be awesome.
So, All right. Well, then, everybody, enjoy yourselves for the rest of the day, and have a great rest of the weekend and a fantastic week. We'll see you on Tuesday and hopefully later today.
Happy
See you
Sunday.
soon.